Hi everyone, Micheál Martin, Ireland's Taoiseach, is always gaslighting the people of Ireland. Remember, he famously said that Ireland wants nothing to do with a backward looking idea of sovereignty as he looks to his masters in Europe. At the same time, he can't stop talking about Ukraine's sovereignty. He's a complete hypocrite, but this latest iteration or propaganda piece that's come from Martin really takes the biscuit. He has been speaking about protecting people and communities right across Ireland. And he said that it's a fundamental obligation of governments to protect people and communities. 100%. But his government have completely neglected protecting people and communities right across Ireland. He also said, since taking office, this government has been focused on enhancing public safety, modernising our justice system and managing migration effectively. Really, can anybody believe this absolute garbage that's been thrown out there by Micheál Martin? Enhancing public safety, where we see attacks every day of the week around Dublin and many more parts of Ireland where people feel totally unsafe going in towards Dublin City because of the crime, chaos encapsulating our capital city. I've spoken in many videos about this, and of course add in your comments in terms of how you feel if you ever go into Dublin City. Modernising our justice system. This is a justice system that's a complete catastrophe, where you see more and more people being let out on bail for serious crimes, while at the same time we see overcrowding spaces in prison with over 110% capacity, I think, currently in the prisons right across our country. And of course, we won't mention the white collar criminals in Leinster House that Martin occupies, and his friends, of course, Michael Lowry and those led independents as well, with their own profoundly corrupt issues. And of course, managing migration effectively. Well, it's been a total disaster in terms of managing it effectively. And of course, it's been down to government policies, and by design it's been created. I spoke in a previous video about Pascal Donoghue in the latest Department of Finance report to say it was a workforce windfall and also a huge demographic shift in our society. And if you remember back to 2018, where we had about 70% rejection rates for people claiming asylum, and of course in 2020 that dropped down to about 5 or 6%, and hence we have an illegal immigration chaos, so again, which benefits those at the very top of society, and of course they're benefiting their rich friends, and at the same time it's the working classes that are impacted most of all. And of course they have their media buddies pushing all this narrative as well. And he also said that the Justice Minister, Jim O'Callaghan, is very focused on all these key issues, and in particular continued Garda recruitment. Well, this is at the same time where they're trying to say that it's fantastic to see extra Garda numbers, but at the same time we can see more and more Gardaí leaving because of poor pay and conditions, and many poorly trained officers going into the Gardaí, and next to no community policing. And this is more garbage that comes through the mouthpieces that Micheál Martin is paying for through the media as well. And he also spoke about landmark Garda reform, and he said there'd be extensive framework and improving the performance and accountability of Garda Síochána. Well, let's wait and see how that happens. It's like inertia really moving in terms of Garda reform and in terms of accountability and transparency. This is at the same time where a Gardaí has been arrested in relation to an incident that took place on O'Connell Street over a week ago, where a man died following an altercation with a member of Garda Síochána as well. Now, of course, thoughts and prayers would be with the victim of those horrific attacks that have taken place in Dublin and those incidents that have taken place as well. And in particular, where is the accountability for the Gardaí? And of course, we have a man at the top of that organisation who's due to resign pretty soon, and at the same time the vast majority of the Gardaí had no confidence in him. So more nonsense coming from Martin. And he also spoke about increase in deportation enforcement, public relations stunts yet again. So this is the type of nonsense that's coming out of Micheál Martin and being pushed down the throats of many ordinary people. And of course they'll claim they're dealing with this and they're protecting and making people safe in their communities. And of course, this is at the same time where they're actually ignoring and running roughshod over any democratic involvement of communities in any major any major decisions that impact communities, not to mention on Garda Síochána and the heavy-handed approaches they took to many protesters that were taking place, in particular around working class areas. You remember Coolock, you can remember what happened in Newtown Kennedy, and many more communities all around Ireland with the heavy-handed approach, because they stood up for the interests of their communities and stood up for the interests of the lack of services, lack of integration in their communities. But of course, those who are wealthy and many of their government organisation buddies were still pushing the agenda of mass immigration, again, which benefits the super rich. But this is what Micheál Martin is pushing down the throats of ordinary people. Really, it's like something out of Comical Alley from the time of Saddam Hussein as well, to say there was nobody at the gates of Baghdad, and at the same time there were statues being pulled down in Baghdad during that illegal invasion back well over 20 years ago. This is more the same nonsense, spin and absolute propaganda that's been rammed down the throats of ordinary people, and more gaslighting again from none other than European Union branch manager Micheál Martin, best friend of von der Leyen, who's facing her own issues of censure in the European Commission over the European Parliament over the next period of time as well. So thanks for subscribing to my channel. Thanks for sharing my videos, and thanks very much to Mike and Bobby, who have supported me through buying me a coffee as well. I'm very, very grateful. So thanks for the support, and slán go fóill. Take care. Bye-bye.